The Utopian, there's like these heroes in the Jupiter comics. Imagine being a character or hero with such great moral that you're quote unquote too perfect. I'm talking about taking care of your wife every night, making her feel good every night, making her dinner. He wants to give away all his riches or money to charity because he feels bad that he has all this money and there's people out there that can barely feed their kids. Look, I get it. Marrying somebody that's perfect is kind of rough. I guess you could think of it like that. But imagine being divorced for being perfect. You're getting divorced because when you marry somebody, it makes them feel insignificant in comparison to you. They even go as far as saying, how can our kids even measure up? I'm glad we can't have kids. They would just be underachievers in comparison to him. She complains because she needs a quote unquote a normal man with flaws. Even breaking up was insufferable to her. Matter of fact, he's too perfect that it's actually a character flaw to the point where his own teammates were not liking him because he was being mean to him, saying they wasn't nice enough. And then they throw it in his face saying, I bet you wish you was nicer to us now. Yeah, this pretty much summarizes it. The kids of the heroes kind of became bad, so the remaining heroes had to go to the villains to stop the former superhero. Like, what in the world? There was a group of heroes, 6 friends that came together. They went to a mysterious island, and that's how they got their powers in the first place. See, there was like this mysterious island that they went to, and this is how they got empowered. It's a place he kept dreaming about, like it was calling to him. This stuff seemed like it was here waiting for the perfect candidates. Yeah, look at this doorway. It's implied they went into another dimension, it seems here, because even they was confused. How does going indoors have their own sky? And that's how they met these alien-like beings that were going to give them power. They just have to trust them. I like how this universe has the stereotypical alien-looking designs. Getting right to the point, yeah, he can fly, he has telekinesis, he can make a telekinetic bubble so those can breathe with him in space. Energy projection, super senses like being able to see stuff from far away, hear stuff real good, super hearing. His durability is resistant to hexy stuff like psychics can't just go in his mind and just call it a day. He's resistant. How much can he lift? Other beings in the universe that he should be as strong as or stronger than, he can do whatever they can do in muscle but better. Like for example, this character, Lady Liberty, been able to lift a car. Proving just like her, he can lift a couple tons, of course, with his just muscle. I guess technically he can choose whether to lift something with his muscle or he can just choose to lift it with his telekinesis. Either or, right? Still strong, lift a lot of weight either way, right? This kind of strength is backed up by the way you see him bend thick metal, and it seems to be with laughable ease, implying nowhere near his limit. He can squeeze coal so hard he can make his own diamond with it, along with others lift heavy aliens and sling them. It's proven he can lift thousands or even hundreds of thousands of tons. With his telekinesis, we see him lift cargo ships. Yeah, cargo ships can weigh a lot. You can practically say he can lift buildings. I would like to keep in mind this doesn't look like this is nowhere near his limit. This still seems to be pretty casual. It's kind of crazy when you think about he can lift over 200,000 tons with ease. 1 feet, you could argue this is approaching his limit because this did seem like this was kind of high effort. But I guess you can kind of get an idea of what his upper limits of how much he can lift would be based on this meteor. That was a mile wide. While he was confident he would be able to turn it around, there was implications this was pretty heavy. He wouldn't have minded having some help. I personally used AI to help me calculate this, so let me know if you agree or disagree, but I think it's pretty accurate that the AI calculated that this meteor would have had to weigh bare minimally, just the weight of it would have been in the billions of tons. A low end being 6 billion tons and the high end being 17 billion tons. Based on the way the comic panel looked, he was in the process of holding off something that would have bare minimally had to be within the billions of tons range, y'all. I'm talking about strength needed to move a mountain, literally. Not only was he lifting billions of tons or slowly supporting the weight of billions of tons, it was coming down with more force than normal, which was probably making it feel heavier. Because if something's heavy and then it's coming at you at crazy speed, it feels like it weighs more than it actually weighs. Because gravity's insane. Because he was trying to stop something this wide that was coming down at a crazy speed. A good argument can be made for him to be able to lift trillions of tons if you want to assume he can actually lift the full weight of it, even with the speed coming down. But if you want to lowball him and say he can't lift the whole weight with the speed, let's just say he can lift the weight of it without the speed. Even without the speed, making the object feel heavier, he would still be able to lift billions of tons. So even if you don't want to necessarily believe this, you really have no choice but to believe he can lift billions of tons, honestly. I mean, it's the same thing for striking power. I mean, striking power is a lot of different things. It's your muscle, it's your technique, it's your fighting skills, it's your speed. He has all of this stuff. So when you see him ram beings against the wall, engrave the wall, it makes sense when you see him support meteors that heavy for a split second or two, even if he does fail lifting it. When you see him caving walls like this, it's totally believable. When we're talking about the weight of his strikes, I mean, he's punting stuff all the way to the doggone moon. He seems to be able to do this kind of stuff with laughable ease. And when there's like armadas or fleets, he can just fly through them, hit through their ship, on his own, it's implied he's able to even stop earthquakes. Notice the weight of his hits hitting beings and windows shattered. Everybody else feels like an earthquake in the area. He can ram and blitz through bots that are larger than himself. He can hit through brick walls, obviously, based on all that stuff we seen him live. Him being able to punch this hard shouldn't be a shock, right? That's why he's poking holes in roofs. He can drill through 1,000 miles of rock, as you see here, seems to be able to do this with laughable ease. Like, he's implied to be one of the strongest beings in this universe. When other beings, heroes, have trouble with stuff, he's the one to come in to take care of the stuff that other heroes couldn't necessarily take care of. Don't get it twisted. Other characters in this universe can harm him, though, when it comes to his durability. But in one-on-one fights, it implies that he's stronger than pretty much a lot of different cast members when it comes to the weight of his hits, how hard they can hit, and how he counters their hits with his own raw punching power or strength. So when you see feats of him being able to, like, he's stopping something that would take bare minimally billions of tons of force based on it being a mile wide. This has got to apply for his punches as well. It shouldn't be a shock that his punches should technically have the power to literally quake mountains themselves or even bust them up. If I lowball him and assume he can lift 6 billion tons, I'm talking about the meteor feat that's a mile wide, if we assume he can lift this kind of weight, what would his punches feel like if we assume he can hit like this, similar to this or even more? Because most people in real life can punch harder than what they can lift anyway. So if we assume he can bare minimally hit this hard with his fist, not only would he be able to hit way harder than the strongest nuclear bombs that we have in real life, but it would even be worse if we convert 6 billion tons into megatons. It would be like the largest nuclear bomb we have multiplied by 120, like 120 times past highest nuke level, if we'd assume he can punch similar to what his muscles can support. Now, I would even argue more because punches usually are worse. All this kind of punching power strength goes for his durability because remember this meteor feat I keep bringing up? It had nuclear missiles. It was wired with atomic missiles. It's a nuclear device. All of this had to blow up in his face while he had to feel that weight of that meteor landing on him. And it kind of sort of made him sleepy, but it didn't kill him. So it lets you know his durability kind of matches up. I mean, if you think all this is BS, I mean, just look at the opponents he has to box and it can kind of give you an idea that it adds up with all the stuff I've been saying. He's boxing with super strong beings like Black Star, who leveled half of Missouri. This kind of power adds up to what I already mentioned about him being leagues upon leagues above past nuclear bomb levels of punching power, because in order to level half of Missouri, you would have to be able to produce attacks way worse than nuclear bombs if we're to take that statement serious. I mean, I used my personal calculation again, and I pretty much said how much raw destructive power would you even need to be able to level half of Missouri? You would technically need power 60 times that of the strongest nuclear bomb. So it kind of adds up with the thing I said earlier about him being over hundreds of times above the biggest nuclear bombs we have on Earth level. Like, it kind of adds up with Black Star. Whether leveling the whole Missouri or just half Missouri, you have to be leagues upon the strongest nuclear bomb levels of power to even be able to level this much of Missouri. An actual place in real life that they're referencing in this comic. This being Black Star, the weight of his hits can damage. Yeah, if this scene is anything like the live action show, you should take it literally, because if you saw the live action show, they kind of mentioned something similar to taking out half the state.
He's going nuclear! He was going to take you out in half the state.
That scene makes a lot more sense when you see the comics, right? This being was going to go nuclear, basically. He's able to survive his own explosion, which would imply he would need to even punch even harder to be able to damage that being this durable. And then I wouldn't even blame you if you argued he can hit harder, because with all this raw strength, he's actually pretty fast in combat speed using his hands. Like, he can use his hands and he can use his point A to point B speed in combat if he wanted to. How else could he just build stuff this fast? That's a form of combat speed right here, using both raw speed and reflexes together. He's fast enough to do all the chores while blinking or yawning. That's another form of combat speed, raw speed, or reflexes. Occasions like this imply he's way faster than the speed of sound. He can cover 1,000 miles in an extremely short amount of time. I mean, in raw flight speed, if it's really true, he can cover 170 million miles in 3 hours. That's a bare minimum speed of Mach 73,000, like 73,000 times faster than the speed of sound. All that strength I showed you earlier, imagine him ramming or flying into you at Mach 73,000. Yo, that's 56 million miles per hour. Not bad for a guy that can survive in space with no spacesuit, and he can just lay on clouds somehow. I mean, the only way they beat this guy, Utopian, is a big betrayal coup d'etat, and they had to team up on him. Yeah, this is a dark ending, yo. His own son. Yikes. But I want to hear your thoughts below. Did you enjoy this video? Did you know the Utopian was this strong? Thanks for the donos, y'all. Respect them. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.